Hey guys, Glutenation here. I've got a new knife review for you. It's actually a series of knives, these three knives. These are the Smith & Wesson SWAT series of knives. I borrowed them from a friend of mine, Ag Firefighter, and yeah, I told him I would have a quick review whipped out and get them right back to him. And that was about a year and a half ago, so I really need to get this done, as I feel a little bad now, because it wasn't quite as quick as I told him it would be. Anyway, I'll set this one aside until later. It's a little bit different than these two. These are essentially the same knife. They're very similar anyway. And they're the Smith & Wesson SW, obviously, 2000B models. At least that's the best I can figure. The models aren't printed on both of them. Anyway, I'll start with this guy here. This one has the Tonto edge, whereas this one's got your kind of like spear point and your typical knife blade. It's not the Tonto that bothers me on this one. What bothers me is the fact that they made it flat on this side. It's just completely flat, and so that means you're going to sharpen it asymmetrically, and that is a pain. And I just hate it, and I think it looks stupid too. The fact that it's flat on one side, it makes it just look cheap, like it was stamped out of cheap metal or something. And the steel isn't terrible. It's a 440C or something very similar. I think these actually say, well, maybe not. I'm pretty sure they're 440C. They act like it. So they take an okay edge. Doesn't last terribly long though. But they're very serviceable knives. And as you can see, this one has seen quite a bit of service. It's really worn quite a bit. So I think it's a combination of he's ridden it hard and hung it up wet, and they don't really paint these terribly well. This is actually, like I said, 440C stainless steel with a Teflon coating, which is nice. If you want to cook a tiny egg over a campfire, it won't stick or anything like that. As you can see, the thumb stud is only on one side, and you can't really flip it over. Same on this knife. That bothers me. I'm left-handed, and so I'm always conscious of those kind of things. Same with the pocket clip. It doesn't flip over. And the pocket clip doesn't appear to be terribly durable either. You can see this one's broken off. Again, I don't think my friend babies his knives. Quite the opposite. But still, you notice when you see pocket clips broken off, it's probably not a good sign. And they don't feel really sturdy. So yeah, you probably would, if you're planning on getting one of these, just be aware that it might not be the most durable of pocket clips. But let's get on to the deployment. Deployment of these is good. The lockup's not great. It's okay. It'll work. It's not just completely sloppy, and you can tighten it. It's just a regular Allen wrench, so you don't have to go buy one of those $6 Torx things. I hate those. It's so freaking expensive. Anyway, so deployment is okay on these. This one is actually a little bit better. It may be because it just hasn't been used as much, but anyway, well, that wasn't a great deployment, but the deployment is pretty good. Once you get some practice and you're not reaching around a tripod, the deployment on these is just fine. And this one, the blade is symmetrical, so I like that. These have the combo edge, which I'm not partial to, but that's just a preference thing. Along with the Tonto, it's just preference, so I won't knock it on that. They're okay. Yeah, I don't have any problems with these knives. They don't stand out to me in any way. Like, wow, I really want to get that, especially since you're going to spend possibly over 40 bucks for these, which I think at that price they're not very competitive for what you get, because you could get a lot of other things. Kershaw has some pretty good products for that price. Spyderco, for a little bit more than that, you can get something like this, which is the Pacific Salt. That's lighter, because these are about just a hair under 6 ounces, and this thing is, gosh, I think this is under 4 ounces for just as big a blade. And this is a rust-proof blade too. So that's just one example though. There's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of great knives on the market, and I think that these are not very competitive for their price. But that said, if you could get them cheaper, I think you would be satisfied with them. If you could get it 25 bucks, that's probably a fair price for what you get for these knives. And I don't think I mentioned it, but they have aluminum handles. so that probably adds to their weight, but they're fairly strong. You know, as much as he mistreats knives, and I've seen, here's an example of what I know these knives may have been through. He has another knife, I think it's made by Remington, and it's probably a pretty crappy knife, but the final terminal third of the knife is just snapped off because he tried to use it as a screwdriver, which if you're watching Ag Firefighter, that's a stupid thing to do, but awesome also because he still carries that, you know, just like, yeah, what the hell, I don't care, man, I'll whip out that knife, blade broken off, just looks cool, but not terribly functional. Anyway, I'm going to move on to this guy, because this one, also not good for the price, but price aside, if you could get a decent price, because I've seen it go for $50, which I think is too much, but if you can get it for cheaper, I think this is a cool knife. It's an assisted opening, and it's a little bit smaller. It's got a 3.15 inch, so I measured it, I call that a hair over 3 inches, and it's 3.5 ounces, which is a nice carry weight. It sticks out quite a bit of your, you know, about this far out of your pocket, which is kind of annoying. But also you can't reverse it. That obviously bothers me. However, it does have thumb studs on both sides, so I got to kind of question that it's sort of a half-assed attempt at being ambidextrous, because while you can deploy left-handed, you can't carry it left-handed, so that's just goofy. Anyway, the lockup is pretty good on this one. Again, you can easily adjust it right there. And it's got that similar blade shape, which I think is a perfectly acceptable blade shape for common use. Pretty similar steel. They call it something else. I don't really know the name of this steel, but just based on carrying it now for a long time, it takes a decent edge, and it doesn't really hold it very long. Yeah, you can see right there, 4034, whatever that is. So, yeah, it's an okay steel. The switch here, the safety switch, is loose and wiggles about, and that's pretty annoying. And right before I was about to do this review, this, wait, not this, that's my beverage. This screw fell out of it. And I don't really know where it goes. I can't find a spot that's missing a screw. I should probably be worried about that, but it seems to still be working alright. So I'm not going to worry about it. Anyway, so there's a few kind of concerns with the not the design so much. I think the design is decent, but just the manufacturing quality and for $50, it's just, I don't think it's great. But if you get it cheaper, it's a nice knife, and the deployment, wow, I almost cut my finger there. The deployment is really fast. You know, that's just snappy and wonderful. So the performance of the knife is good. With all of these, I think you get a decent knife. Sorry for the clanging. You get a decent knife. It's just, don't pay what I've seen the average price be. I think that's unreasonable for the quality of materials that you get. Anyway, there you guys have it. Big thanks to Ag Firefighter for his patience. These are the Smith & Wesson SWAT series of knives. And if you find them for a decent price, don't hesitate to pick one up, because they're pretty cool knives. And especially this one. I really dig this one. It's just, every once in a while there's a certain something a knife has, and it's just enjoyable to carry, and this knife has it. These are okay, but this knife kind of has that just fun to carry quality, which I think is important, because you gotta remember to carry it every day, and so it's important for it to have that little bit of enjoyment. So I'm gonna sign off, guys. Thanks for watching.